It's getting a little sensual with the mic. So, before the start of our Rage Quit episode, I would like to tell a little bit about Rage Quit's sponsor. So, welcome to another episode of Rage Quit, the husband and wife duo that discusses video games every week. Rage Quit is sponsored by AFK Clothing Co. Are you a gamer? Do you enjoy games? Then check out AFK Clothing Co. for all of your gaming apparel needs. As I record this, I am sporting an AFK green sleeve baseball tee that I absolutely love and wear every week. We'd never be sponsored by something we didn't like. And if you'd like to support the show, head on over to AFK Clothing Co., link in the description below, and type ASI in the promo code box to get 10% off your next order. As always, just follow the bear. And now on to the show. Yeah!
Well, welcome back to Rage Quit, ladies and gentlemen.
This is episode 10 of Rage Quit.
The development and overgrowing of Assassino. That is not the right title, but...
Yeah, it works. My name is Anthony Schultz.
My name is Ariel Skahulitz.
And yeah, we're going to be discussing the evolution of Assassin's Creed today. The gigantic Ubisoft franchise.
Yeah. We might have taken a small hiatus, but things happen. These things happen.
You know what's going to know. He's fine.
Alright, you want to start it off since you know the Assassinos?
Yeah, I mean, it has like a kind of interesting...
Development.
Yeah, origin. Like, it stems back all the way to the Prince of Persia reboot on the PlayStation 2 generation.
Yeah, because they did it, didn't they?
Yeah, Ubisoft did all of those as well. So they did Prince of Persia Sands of Time, which was like critically well received, did really well sales-wise as well. That spawned 2 sequels, Warrior Within and The Two Thrones. And then there were some spin-offs and ports and stuff. There was like a soft reboot of that franchise, and then another sequel on the PS3, which is the last one, The Forgotten Sands.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the mechanics in that game, though, a lot of the art style, the settings even, at least the original setting.
The hardcore parkour.
Exactly. Well, yeah, Prince of Persia was definitely, it was a platformer like that. Like,
Yeah.
You wall ran and stuff and, like, ejected and, yeah. Which, I absolutely love that game. That was one of my favorite franchises of all time. I wish they would do another one, but... they kind of pivoted and worked a lot of those mechanics and stuff into the very first Assassin's Creed.
Which is the one with Ezio, isn't it?
No, Altair.
Altair, that's right.
Yeah.
I always get those mixed up because I know the games, but I don't know the orders because they don't necessarily need to be played in the order.
No, I mean, there is a, like, overarching, like, plot with Desmond in the beginning of the series, but now there really isn't.
So, I know this is kind of the whole conversation is the development and growth of Assassino. Do you feel like because the new ones don't necessarily have not a story, but a series that it's easier to play them out of order compared to if like you played the Ezio Auditore ones?
Yeah, I mean that's up for debate. There's a ton of people who didn't like the modern day story at all.
Yeah.
Those people would say, just play the original ones. Mm-hmm. And, in any order and play, the new ones in any order. Play the entire franchise in any order that you want, kind of a thing. Because they didn't care for the modern storyline at all. There are people who really did enjoy Desmond's storyline. Like, John, my other co-host for FGG, he actually really liked Desmond's storyline. And that's when he...
Because isn't he, like, not like the current ones now because of how
he doesn't as much, no. And
that makes sense, though, because, like, we were talking about, because it's a back and forth, which we've brought up before many times, that, how, like, if storylines and, like, big MMOs and stuff don't belong in certain games, not necessarily don't belong in certain games, but some people get irritated when it's like that.
Yeah, and that's a kind of an interesting, like, discussion or, like, point as well, because, I mean, it was very kind of divisive from, like, the get-go because of that modern-day, like, storyline. Mm-hmm. And then with the new ones, it's almost like it's not more divisive, actually. Yeah. Like, there's a ton of people, myself included, who think that Origins and Odyssey are like Game of the Year contenders and some of the best video games that they've ever played, especially this generation. There's others though that are like think that they've like strayed away from the narrative, which then kind of begs the question, like the camp that thinks that they've strayed away from the narrative, are those the same people that didn't like the Desmond storyline
Like
and the modern day one that were in the originals? Because that's kind of like, well, you're just going to be a naysayer then no matter what, and then is your opinion on this franchise really warranted? Like, and that's hard to tell, like, if those groups overlap heavily.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they do. I think there's a lot of people who complain about that because it was and then they want that modern day story that they said they didn't care about. Yeah. In the historical context, I guess, of the new ones. And it's like, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too, kind of, in my opinion. Like, because the new ones, have a great story. Like, and it is enthralling and, like, enthralling and very sprawling.
What do you feel like the modern day part of it is, like, part of the story? Or do you feel like, honestly, Assassino could go without that?
I was one then where I didn't really care so much for the modern day one like John did.
Yeah.
Like, in the beginning of the series. I didn't hate it. Like, I wasn't, like, vocally, like, against it by any means. But it... That was really funny. I know we're recording, but that was hilarious.
He deserved it.
Yeah, I wasn't, like, against it by any means, but in my opinion, that storyline got a little too convoluted.
Yeah.
I kind of liked what, like, some of the themes that they were talking about, like the ancient civilization and, like, how that plays into, like, both stories going on simultaneously and how that affects, like, the present day or now. Like, I thought that was interesting, like, like as a premise. But it got too convoluted, in my opinion. And so it was like, I actually had trouble just kind of keeping along with it. Because these... You know, forget it, they come out every year, and I was getting them every year when they came out, but it doesn't mean that I beat it within, you know, a couple months or something, because there's a ton of games that come out in the holidays. And so, by the time I would end up finishing one, like, wholly, it would probably be, like, out of order, and then it had been a couple years, and I was like, I don't really remember what happened in the last one with Desmond.
That we started.
With Origins and Odyssey, I'm more focused on
their
Bayek's story.
Yeah, Bayek and
Alexios, or, you know, Cassandra, if you choose to play as
depending
her.
Depending on who you are,
their story. And a lot of people are saying that it's getting, like, lost in the shuffle because of, like, microtransactions or how long those games are. That, like, people don't... And that was John's argument as well, is he didn't remember what was going on in Bayek's story, specifically in Origins.
Do you feel it
when returning to the game, because he would, like... he plays how I do, where, like... If you unlock a new district or area and stuff, you clean everything out. You get all the collectibles, you do all the side quests, you do anything that's, like, miscellaneous in that area. And then you continue on with the story. And he'd said when he would continue on with the story, there had been so much stuff, because those games are so huge, in just that little area, like, little in quotes, that he would forget what the story was. For me, it had the opposite effect.
Yeah.
I actually was more in tune to the story and, like... remembering more what happened than I ever did with Desmond.
Well, yeah. Well, so do you think that makes it, like, easier to kind of remember, because, like, you're not having to remember, let's say, two stories, like you're the Desmond story and then the Assassin's story?
Yeah, I mean, I think that plays a part into it as well. You're not trying to... I think people's brains work that way too, where you're trying to then attach or make correlations between the two stories, because you know they're attached. So how does one affect the other? And I think that way it works for me. I mean, you know me better than anybody, so yeah, that's probably exactly like why it was muddled for me, and I didn't remember as much.
It's because there's two stories you're having to pay attention to, and that the fact that, you know, why doesn't necessarily one correlate with the other. Like you said, it was kind of cool in the Desmond story to kind of flesh out a little bit of the ancient civilization and the one thing's the Eden apple.
The apple of Eden
and stuff like that,
and the other like artifacts that you can get,
which was really cool to flesh out. But then again, it's like, why do you really don't need the modern part of it though?
No, and that's what it became for me, is like, instead of trying to make those attachments, I may have started at first to try to like tie the two stories together in my head and be invested and interested in both. I just after a while stopped really caring or paying attention about the Desmond storyline, even though they were really well like mocapped and like voice acted and stuff like that.
No, they were
and it was
well
important.
done. Yeah, it wasn't like it was shittily done or something like that.
But I would be hard pressed to explain Desmond's storyline in its entirety right now.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up, and I played all of them, and I played some of them several times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is like...
But I could tell you each of Ezio's stories. I could tell you Edward Kenway's story from Assassin's Creed 4. Like, I just did the Assassin's Creed 3 remaster, so I could tell you Connor's story. Like, all the historical stories that were built into there, I could probably explain pretty decently. You know, even if I just played it, you know, this year or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But the Desmond story, I would be really hard pressed. Like, and they did pivot with the later ones, and it's even included in Odyssey and Origins, but you play as another character in the modern day. And at any time in the game, you can press a button on the menu of the map and, like, go to her and explore, like, a little area and stuff and read lore and things about, you know, the modern day Templars and assassins and stuff. But... I don't really know what's going on there either. like why she's
never
there.
out of there, that situation.
Yeah, and I have, in either one of them, I never left. In Origins and Odyssey, I have never, like, willingly left, like, the base or core gameplay, unless it forces me to.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, these ones don't force you to ever.
No, you don't have to.
It doesn't rip you out. It just gives you the option, which, that game giving you more options, I'm completely fine with.
Well, so do you think, too, lost my train of thought, that when it comes to, quote me if I'm wrong, I mean, this may just be me maybe watching the movie or something like that, where you have to have lineage with the peoples?
It was at first. I think with the newer ones,
they did tie it into it.
They're like able to use like it's like an upgraded or updated version of the Animus, the machine that was also used in the movie for them to explore their, you know, lineage and replay those memories. I think they can be. You just need a DNA sample of someone related, and then you can go through it. Before it was explained as if you would lose your mind. Like,
for being in there too long.
Yeah, and if you were playing somebody else's memories that weren't yours, like as far as like family lineage, then it was like nearly impossible to do. You had to have like a living person that was related somehow to do it. Now I think Lydia, the main modern day character, like she just has to have some sort of like DNA from either that person or somebody related to them to do
I think she got it from that person, because if I remember right, they're at their tombs. Like
she was in Origins,
Origins, yeah. She was at their tombs. I don't remember in Odyssey.
I think she might have Leonidas's spear.
So it makes sense to where she can connect to one.
Which, whether you play as Alexios or Cassandra, that's like the first like main special weapon you get, and it's a part of the story that you have to like upgrade it with the ancient civilization's tech. And he uses it as like the hidden blade because it's well before the Assassin's Creed existed.
Because it's even before.
It's before Origins. Yeah, Odyssey is. It's the earliest one so far in the timeline.
And what do you think about like them kind of doing that out of order, with the fact that, do you think they're like, I have a better idea, and instead of doing like Origins and then Odyssey, should have been Odyssey then Origins?
I think every Assassin's Creed game prior to Origins was distinctly built on that. Like, it was very much going further and further in the historical timeline. So it started with like Altair, and then it's like several hundred years later you get Ezio, and then it's like, then you go even further with Edward Kenway in the Caribbean. So there's like, that was distinctly always like forward. I think now the fans for so long, especially as there was kind of some fatigue on the franchise, were asking more just the historical side to it. So they're like, go to China, go to India, go to feudal Japan, or like picking specific times and places. And I know for a while Ubisoft was very resistant to that. They're like, I don't want to do that, like kind of thing.
Do you think so?
I think it was like a gut reaction, like they were. I think this is kind of a miscalculation. I think it was a little insulting to fans. I think it was more like, we know best for you. You don't know what you want.
Yeah.
And so they were just constantly making games to further progress whatever narrative they had planned out. And we're like, just trust us. Like, we will do right. These things are more like cliched. You actually don't want this. And so they didn't do them. I think when they took a hiatus and came back with Origins, I think there was kind of a pivot in the mindset where we want to make a fun game for people. Yeah. And what do they want? And so Egypt had come up a ton in those kind of discussions. So then Origins is centered in Egypt with Cleopatra and Caesar. And then a return to like ancient Greece rather than modern day, you know.
Yeah, Greece, yeah.
With Ezio in Italy and Rome and stuff like that. It's like they're... You know, which is right next door. I mean, it's Italy and Greece.
Knocking on your door.
I think they wanted then to include some of like the more mythology and stuff of Greek culture. And so that was a good stepping stone, you know, right across the Mediterranean from Egypt as well. And Origins had a lot of mythological kind of aspects to it as well.
So I know they're not necessarily coming out with one next year. They've kind of put a kibosh coming out every year. But what do you think their next one's going to be?
The predominant rumor is Vikings.
Ooh.
That they're going to do a Viking Assassin's Creed. I haven't heard, like, time period or, like, how it'll fit in. Obviously, there was, like, a distinct period in history with the Vikings. I want to know how you do Assassino Viking. Yeah, and it's, like... It's almost like the name doesn't matter anymore. Like, the name provides, like credibility or, like...
Assassins or...
Well, yeah, because Origins and Odyssey, the Assassin's Creed doesn't exist. The Assassins, like, the organization, like, the Templars and the Assassins, which is, like, the main crux of the whole series, like, does not exist.
So do you feel like they'll...
Origins butts up against the creation of the Creed. Like, Bayek and his, like, wife created. But then Odyssey, its sequel, you know, the elusive sequel, is several hundred years before. Yeah. You know, it's a prequel to the prequel.
To the prequel?
And so it's like, it has the same mechanics and, like, ideas where it's, like, a mercenary or a Mystios, like, battling a, like, cult, you know, the Templars. So it's like, I mean, they made it work, but it's, like, it's not... I don't think it matters as much anymore. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong that they did that, but it's like, I don't think it really matters anymore.
Well, do you feel like they're going to steer too far left field now with walking away from these Assassinos? If they go too far back, you think?
No, I mean...
Like, China makes sense with ninjas.
Wasn't that, but yeah, I mean, it's very... I don't think it matters as much anymore. I just don't think it really is. I think Ubisoft trusting in their fans and giving them what they want is a lot more important and actually more like of a game than specifically trying to tell this modern like narrative and make everything fit in this cohesive universe. Humanity all the way to present day. I think they shackled themselves in that, and now they've broken out of that. And I think by doing right by the fan, it doesn't matter as much.
So do you think that they're gonna not necessarily steer clear, but be more not so in depth on the pieces of Eden per se?
I think they will. They still have like. That's still included. It's just not, like, the focus anymore, which is actually kind of nice.
So you think that's why people get irritated? Because, like, on one hand, yeah, they're listening to the fans, which they should. But then again, it's like they're completely just revamped how the game goes. Like, we've been talking about, like, the development. For granted, you had, you know, Altairs and Ezio's and then Connors even. To build up those stories in the history. And then you have Odyssey and Origins. Works more along the lines of just kind of history, but gameplay more along the lines.
I think they focused on gameplay and mechanics as much as they focused on the historical aspect. I think what they ignored and are shying away from now is a lot of the ancient civilization aspects of it. It's more like just sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
To attach it to the rest of the franchise
Well,
and
if
the
you think
modern
about
day
it,
story. I don't think they sacrificed the historical story though for anything, or the mechanics for anything. I think they've improved both of those. And I know there's a lot of people that would disagree and say that the historical narratives now are worse, but
Yeah.
I don't think that they are. I think that they're actually very compelling and interesting.
Well, you also have to think too that it's more mythical too in the Origins and Odyssey.
It is now, yeah, which is another complaint that
because you fight Anubis and freaking the crocodiles. And I don't remember all the god names. Bear with me here.
Oh yeah,
Atlantis and Odyssey.
Sobek, Anubis. I can't remember. Shishkmet.
Yeah.
The Panther God. But yeah, and that they kind of had as like timed events that were added later, and it was like the Animus was like glitching, and that spawned those enemies that you could go fight.
Yeah.
So it was like it existed but not kind of a thing. Is
like a virus in the system.
Which they've done before, because there was like people that had used the Animus during its like prototype phasing that got lost into the Animus, and there was side quests where you had to like piece together
where they went,
like Subject 16, who left clues like throughout, like the genetic like memory or coding of Ezio, so you could like piece stuff together. Honestly, like really doubles down on it, because it's like I came across one of them the other day. It's not like an Animus glitch, or there isn't even like an attempt at an explanation. It's just like, oh, here's a Cyclops. Like, you've heard rumblings that, you get like a note or something, or like find a loose quest line, and it's like, supposedly there's this, giant one-eyed creature on such and such, island, or in this area of the map. And you go there, and sure as shit, giant Cyclops is like 16 feet tall, comes out of this cave with a club and starts attacking you, and you have to defeat the Cyclops. There's no explanation why why the Cyclops actually exists. You can also fight the Minotaur and stuff like that. And like you said, DLC, you can go to Atlantis. And I
feel like they've explained enough of that glitch, I think, in like Origins, that Odyssey is fine enough to deal with its own factors. Like, okay, well, you kind of get the idea of the glitches, and that you're not having to deal with the quote-unquote glitches in Odyssey. Like, you kind of know where it's stemming from.
I don't know. For me, I don't really care whether they explain it or not. I actually just find it interesting.
Psyduct.
Maybe.
Yeah. Kind of kidding. And no,
I just think it's cool. I'm like, that's awesome. I love mythology, and I love the history, and in my mind, those two things, whether one of them is real, one of them is, are intimately attached.
Hand. Yeah, they're always hand in hand, because you always get history with lore. It's always hand in hand.
And what's like a huge part of history of another country, culture, and what's heavily.
How dare you culturize me?
It's like what's heavily influenced or heavily influences culture, especially of ancient societies.
You don't think that the
mythology?
Well, you don't think that's been beaten on the head with a dead horse scenario, mythology and.
It depends on what it is. I mean, I can't distinctly think of a game where you go to Atlantis or explore that. I mean, there's a lot of pop
maybe
culture.
The mythology, you get God of War and kind of.
God of War, definitely. We'll see how the Viking one.
If they do Viking one, that's just kind of.
Yeah, if they keep on the same trend as Origins and Odyssey. I think it's an interesting setting and a really cool place for the franchise to go. It makes me excited. But in the same breath, that is something I've thought about. How many parallels is it going to have to God of War, which just came out, a year ago, a year and a half ago? Are they going to be ripping off some elements of God of War? And it was like, well, it's the new one was already, the reboot or soft reboot was already done.
Yeah, it's already Vikings,
allotted as, one of the best games of all time now. It's like, yeah.
Did they do this? Is that from the same studio?
No.
I was confused for a second. I'm like, they're not from the same studio.
No, I'm just saying, is there going to be some sort of plagiarism almost?
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Because God of War's out in the ethos and, has been widely discussed and, everybody's played it, whether you're a game developer or not.
I'm still trying to think how they're going to do a giant ass
Ubisoft is
Viking.
French and then.
Viking assassin. They're not I'm curious.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I'm curious what they're gonna do with the like protagonist of that. Like, what kind of are they gonna further the combat of Odyssey? Are they gonna have to take a half step back? Like,
I wonder if they'll just dive more into the DLC for those and kind of put that idea on the shelf. Granted, like they're rumors, so we're probably honestly completely wrong or honestly completely right.
I know those ones are like Ubisoft's such a large company and that is such a huge franchise that usually if they're several rumors about the same thing, they've been right all along as far as like
what the
like
type
that.
of games coming out.
Yeah,
we just don't know the mechanics obviously of it because they can go vastly different ways.
Yeah, I would imagine they would probably just further what Origins and Odyssey did because like Odyssey game mechanic wise is really just an extension.
Now that's like another curious thing is how many origin stories can you get, honestly? Do you think they're gonna like overkill that now? Like, whoa, we start here, let's prequel the prequel.
Yeah, but Odyssey was never billed as a prequel. It is further in the timeline, but it really isn't like sold as like, oh, this is how, you know, this is gonna butt up to Bayek's story. Like this is the prequel. It's more like, okay, we have the origins of the Assassin's Creed and the Templars with Bayek's story and Assassin's Creed Origins, and then it's like, I think what they're doing is bridging the gap between the ancient civilization that has always been present in the franchise with like Odyssey.
That's true.
I think it's more focused on that rather than focused on the creation of the Assassin's Guild or the Templars.
Well, then that's the thing too. Is like if they're now gearing towards the quote-unquote origins of the ancient civilization, and not necessarily. Well, if you think about it, too, the assassins are kind of concreted in how they were built, anyways, and regions and stuff like that. So I guess that's
like I don't think it'll affect anything because it's prior in the storyline. It's like it's not going to affect obviously Ezio's story or the Kenways and
Connor.
Yeah, it's not going to affect any of that. I mean that has already happened in that timeline.
So do you think that well, let's talk about the gameplay since you played both versions. Like, what so far is like better in either or was something that they added or something that they took away?
Yeah, I mean, specifically talking about, like, the evolution of Assassin's Creed, the title of this podcast, there's been, I think, distinct leaps within the series. And we can kind of work our way from the back to the front, the oldest and the newest. Yeah, exactly. So, a lot of people say this about Ubisoft games, and it kind of irritates me. It's not wrong, per se. I just don't like journalists parroting the same thing over and over and over again.
You're not a parrot.
Yeah, and they do, and they feel the need to include some sort of version of what I'm about to say in the opening paragraphs of any Ubisoft game. Whether it's Assassin's Creed, or Ghost Recon, or Far Cry, does not matter. The Division even, like, it does not matter what franchise it is. If it's from Ubisoft, this is said over and over and over again. That the first game is a prototype or a template, and then the sequel to that prototype and template is expected to be better. And then the rest of the article is always just based on that comparison, whether it is or isn't better.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the crux, or like the hypothesis to their article.
Well, you have to think too.
Which is annoying
I'm just going to be
because
like,
it's just plagiarism.
Well, that, and I'm going to be blatantly obvious, is the fact that every first game, the second one's going to be better because you're like, I got a better idea, I got a better mechanic, I got more advanced technology. Of course, it's going to be fucking better.
That's why it doesn't make any sense. And then if you read, a dozen different outlets, reviewing, whatever newest Ubisoft title's out, and you read the same,
shit over and over and over and over again.
It's not journalism. That's a whole different topic of discussion.
Hit copy and paste.
But it's like back in the day, like 10 years ago, you would not be able to do that.
Back in the day.
Yeah, you would.
Back in the day,
an editor would tell you to rewrite it, and then that would never be published because so and so already said this. Or you would be accused of plagiarism and not work for that outlet. If it was that severe.
So I attack my foot.
But I think there's been leaps and bounds in the mechanics of Assassin's Creed. So I think between the first and the second one, they really tightened up the controls and how the main characters function and parkour. We'll get to that. The story was also tighter as far as like the historical story with Ezio. Altair was practically a silent protagonist.
Yeah.
Which has its place, but you do need a certain amount of like flair or charisma. Like as a protagonist in a third-person game that's narrative-driven.
Especially Ezio.
Yeah, so Assassin's Creed 2, many feel is like the best one of the franchise still.
Yeah, I can
Because
agree
of
with
that.
that. I like that one.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that one as well. And that's the one with the horse that you like.
The horse is dumb.
That one was so popular, Brotherhood was shoved out rather quickly, and so it's actually a smaller game. That one's my favorite of the Ezio ones, though. It's just in Rome.
Yeah, that one's a lot smaller, though. It's when he's a little older.
Yeah, and then they introduced, like, building your own shops and stuff and upgrading them, and then having, like, your own Brotherhood, and you raise them to Master Assassin. You could use them to attack people during battle. However, the combat was starting to already get, like, stagnant because for the longest time, you could pretty much... It was, like, one-shot kill anybody with a counterattack.
Oh, that's stupid.
So it was, like... And then it was old-school mechanics where you'd have, like, a group of guards around you, and one of them would attack you, you would parry and then counter, and then he would be dead. And then one would come at you, you parry and counter, and it was like a button press, pretty much. Yeah, it was like, hold down a button to block, and then... Right as they hit you, you hit square, and then it's like instant death. So there's like the combat mechanics actually weren't very in depth. Some of the other stuff they added in those was like very important, I think, and added to it. And then the next real big leap was Assassin's Creed 3 added sailing. It was in just like kind
Which
of.
I think was your favorite.
4 was.
Yeah,
3,
sailing-wise.
Yeah, 3 added it, but they were in separate chunks. So you would, like, go to a separate area, and it would be very linear, and you'd have to go a certain way, and there would be
have to go
specific
straight.
objectives.
Yeah,
and
you can sail the oceans or the seas.
That springboarded into Assassin's Creed 4, which is another favorite of a lot of people. That's Black Flag, yeah. And then you can sail pretty much the entire Caribbean, and there was even a mobile game attached to it, which was really cool. Where
I remember you playing it, actually.
Yeah. You could capture other sailors and make them like lieutenants or captains in your fleet.
You are my prisoner.
Yeah, and then you could send them on runs to get like supplies and stuff, which helps you upgrade your ship.
Isn't your entire Odyssey ship all female?
Yeah, you can set that though.
But yeah, that's just your specifics because you're a weirdo.
Yeah. And then we get to... Unity was the big one. It was the first one on this gen's console, so everyone was very excited for it. Super buggy. Design did not make a lot of sense on that one. Right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't want to know.
On the same day, Assassin's Creed Rogue was released, which was pretty much a direct sequel to 4, and it had all the same mechanics, and was just set in a different location and had different... you played as a Templar, actually, instead of Assassin.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Great game. Nobody played it, because it was last gen.
Yep.
So a lot of people missed out on that one, and they played Unity instead, which was awful. It was really bad.
Yeah, because it was the 1-to-1.
Yeah, that was cool that they did that. Yeah, they were specifically using, like... the PS4 and, the Xbox One and that tech to do 1-to-1 aspect, like, ratio, like, or not aspect ratio, but, like, 1-to-1 scaling of a city. But then, the way they designed the city, like, oftentimes
There's no way to get into the rooms. There's no stairs. Like, how do you get in there?
Yeah, there'd be a second floor to a building that you could crawl into the window, but there would be no doors in that room.
There's no way to get in there. I was like, who built this?
So it's like, for granted, you can get in and you can explore it, but it was like, it didn't make sense. And so it kind of, it's like suspension of disbelief. Yeah. It like pulls you from it. Like, you can't suspend your disbelief anymore that you're playing a game and you're like in this,
fantasy world.
Yeah, and, it's like that form of escapism. It's like
you're seriously just like...
It really just grounds you back in reality, and you're like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, and it's kind of irking, like...
It's very disturbing. It's like, who sleeps here?
That story, I don't remember very well either.
Oh, it's fucking dumb.
I don't know if it was just because it was just terribly glitchy, and so I was, like, distracted and frustrated, but...
Well, down the fact because, which a lot of the Assassinos, you can change your outfits. That one was so glitchy if, like, you were wearing a different outfit compared to what the original scene had. like you turn your face and if you were wearing a mask, half of it would be missing.
Oh yeah, it was all the animations were clipped, and yeah,
It was so bad. It's like no one.
And I thought it was cool to like
change your outfits. You could do that anyway with a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I just like the French, like Parisian setting and stuff.
Yeah, which was really cool. And
it was botched.
I don't know. The story was very stupid. I think it wasn't him. What was the one where you're drunk and you use your eagle vision?
That was with Jacob and Syndicate.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That one is an amazing
like
game.
Schnockered and you're trying to use your eagle vision. You're like, again, my head, because you lost your shit because you drunk and you were gambling or something and you lost all your Assassino stuff.
Yeah, because in my head the benchmarks like throughout the series would be Assassin's Creed 2 and/or Brotherhood.
Yep.
And then Assassin's Creed 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'd added the sailing. And 2 and Brotherhood definitely improved on like mechanics, storytelling, and protagonist from the first one. And then you get Assassin's Creed 4, which added all the sailing mechanics.
Mm-hmm. What you wanted.
Which is very cool and very seamless and like works.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very impressive. And you can play as a pirate. Who doesn't want to play as a pirate?
Yes, that's pirate.
And then the next one, which a lot of people didn't play as well, I think
because it's too fast. Because Arno fucked shit up.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I think Unity was so glitchy and
so bad, honestly.
And everyone was incredibly hopeful for it because it was,
not the next generation.
Yeah, and they were excited that they just didn't play Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and Syndicate was amazing.
It was the twins. They just missed out. This thing was fucking epic as shit.
Yeah, the train that went around London, and it was like
the most. You lived on the train.
Yeah, the most modern. Yeah, there was a Jack the Ripper DLC, like
the women's modern.
There was Gangs of New York style street brawls.
I think you played as one of the twins' daughters for more modern celebrating of women's rights.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, they skipped forward to the Blitzkrieg during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a lot of great things about that game, and no one really played.
The racing, you had to be Evie and you race.
And it's just
Jacob and the fighting was legit.
Yeah, and they had the Sherlock Holmes as underground
brawl,
fights and stuff, boxing matches.
So I thought it was kind of cool to tie that into it.
But there were so many great things about that game. I think that's a benchmark as well, and that was probably the last of and it was the last, but the last great old Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, because then Odyssey came out after that one, didn't it?
Origins did.
Or
yeah.
shit, whatever.
And they took a huge hiatus and they revamped the entire
yeah, because I remember you were telling me, because we were together then, it's how you're it comes out with one every year, and then you actually were surprised they're not coming out with another one.
And they took a hiatus, yeah.
It took a couple years to actually
redo
everything, and which was kind of cool if you think about the development of it. It made sense why it stopped at the twins. You were getting too modern now.
Yeah, and there are some people that ask for a World War II.
Yeah, but it's getting too modern in my opinion.
I agree. I like the historical part
in
of it.
1940s, 1950s, and 19.
That's why it doesn't bother me that they took us a step back and then now they're really old.
Yeah.
And then for granted they're a lot more gigantic, and then they have the mythological aspect to them and stuff. But I like that they took that step back because they were, in my opinion, getting too modern.
Yeah, because
so now they freed themselves up to just kind of go back and do whatever they want.
Because then if you think about it too, it's who hasn't fucking done a World War II assassin game where it's spy assassin type game?
And there's a lot, yeah, absolutely.
We got freaking Call of Duty to do that shit. I don't want another war-esque situation. I want something.
It's bleeding over into a different genre
now, and for granted, it's bleeding into per se a different genre too, with Odyssey and Origins, but at the same time...
Oh, I just meant the World War II stuff.
No, I mean it's bleeding over into a different aspect with the fantasy and lore.
It is a little bit, yeah. It has become more of a RPG than it ever has before. Because at some point in the earlier ones, they did tweak the combat so it wasn't one-shot kills, and that was definitely an improvement. With Origins and Odyssey, they really...
revamped it.
Yeah, and added a lot of RPG elements to it and skill trees. Syndicate had a small skill tree.
They did, a small one, not very big.
Origins and Odyssey, though, have really big ones. You can It's an action RPG. I mean, it's like playing Geese now.
True.
But
I feel,
obviously a little bit different perspective and scope. But as far as like mechanics are concerned, it's it's equal parts action as well as RPG. So
well, I feel like you can get away with turning Assassin's Creed into something like that, because it makes sense to go to an RPG way where it's like, when I've talked about this many times before, it doesn't make sense to make Zelda into an RPG or Pokemon into an RPG or...
Yeah, I feel like it is a natural evolution to slip into that. It doesn't seem obtuse.
It's not like going straight MMO or...
It's like if it was like action blending into first-person shooter, like that wouldn't really make any sense, just on perspective alone. But it is kind of a natural segue. It's like to become an RPG.
And it's like, it's not going too far in the aspect where it still doesn't have, like, story or giant MMO online-only situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Where, like, Fallout did that transition. But again, for that scenario, that makes sense. And that natural transition, too.
Well, and another big complaint is Ubisoft uses microtransactions, or like they call them time saver packs. And people get really upset about microtransactions, just period. Gamers do.
If people want to spend their fucking money on shit, let them spend their money on shit. Not everyone has the time of day.
So my opinion is split on it.
How dare you?
The other one, like, half of my opinion really doesn't even pertain to me.
No.
Like, I could see why people would get angry. Like, I talked to somebody on Twitter about this. Ghost Recon Breakpoint just came out.
Yeah.
It's a multiplayer game, or it can be a multiplayer game. You can choose to do it on your own, or you can play with
other people.
A lot of people who want to play with other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Have friends, and you want to squad up and like go do missions and stuff.
My favorite commercial is a Lil Wayne one.
Which is great, yeah. And because I'm going to play that game on my own.
Yeah, but it's still
with AI.
Hilarious.
I want that game.
Well, I'm going to play it with you when you can.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of people who are pissed off about it because they have the time saver packs in it, and so that does create a discrepancy if you're playing, especially against people.
Oh yeah.
So you have to take 100 hours to upgrade your character, and if you can, while you're being slaughtered by somebody over and over and over again in like multiplayer matches because someone spent an extra $100 on time savers.
The teeny bopper who lives at home and mommy and daddy bought him whatever they wanted.
Yeah, you just used mom and dad's credit card and spent the extra $60 on top of the game to use all these time saver packs.
Well, so it's like
that would be infuriating.
So
like,
do you feel like
just want to play a game and you might not have the money to do that, or you might not want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you're removing an option from a portion of your player base. That's not cool. In Assassin's Creed, though, it's single player.
So that makes sense. You can do that.
So I can choose, this is how I like to play them. I can spend the 60 to 80 hours doing everything. It doesn't feel like a slog to me. I like games where you can collect things. The new Assassin's Creed have a ton of collectibles.
Yeah.
Like, the maps are 10 times larger than pretty much anything I've ever played. Even Elder Scrolls. Like, that's awesome. That's really cool. Like...
Oh, Elder Scrolls. I'm thinking the MMO. Never mind.
No, that one's way bigger than anything. But, no, like Skyrim or Oblivion. If someone else is at home on their couch playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and they want to spend extra money and only spend 20 hours of the game or 40 hours of the game... And so they want to spend their own money, an extra, $40, $60, $100 or whatever it may take
to do the story,
to quickly level up or to quickly get items or like special armor and stuff to make the game easier for them to finish it in a fraction of the time. Why is that not the right?
Yeah.
That's not affecting me and how I play it at all.
Slightest.
It's not affecting any other Assassin's Creed player at all.
Nope.
So it does not matter.
I think you're right though, where you're split down the way, and I feel that way too. It's like if you're going PvP, fuck you and your quick transactions. If you're doing
it creates an imbalance in PvP, and that I don't find fair.
Is that MVP? What's the one by yourself?
PvE, player versus enemy.
I don't know this fucking terminology. Kids. You're lucky I even got that out of the wheelhouse. The hamster's normally in the corner right now crying. Okay, it's the end of my day. But anyways, I feel like PvE makes sense. You want a microtransaction. Let's see, you work full time. You just want to get through the story. You don't want to grind. You're busy. Kids screaming.
But you want to play the game.
You want to play the game. You want to get that story. Fuck, go for it. But I feel like if you're doing PvP, you're just being a dick right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, you
got that.
You have extra money.
That 12-year-old talking shit.
And that was time sensitive if you think about it.
What do you mean by that?
So like, like you were saying, you have kids screaming in the background, or you work full time or over full time, or you have a busy life and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can only like pick and choose what games you play, but you have money. Like you're gonna need to like shorten that time.
Yeah.
Because you want to play through the story.
Yeah.
With multiplayer games, online multiplayer games,
You really don't have that.
it's
There is
like
somewhat
you
of a
could just
story.
play one match, which would be a few minutes, or you can play for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours.
True. So like,
Like it's your choice, and I mean it's not like there's a specific online multiplayer campaign in Call of Duty. It's like no, you're just doing capture the flag, online deathmatch, or whatever. And so you're not saving yourself time.
No, you're really not.
It's like, because odds are if you're playing online, you're going to play it, you like it, and you're going to play it over and over and over again. And, like in the instance of Call of Duty, you'll probably play it for the year until the next one comes out.
True.
And so, you're not using it to benefit, like, your personal life in order to get through a story or get a reward at the end. You're doing it to create an imbalance so you seem as if you're better.
Yeah, that you've
better player.
That you've spent this much time into this game, but in fact you spent an extra $60.
Yeah.
Compared to someone who may honestly can't afford it and only can buy one game of the year. And this is something that they've been looking forward to.
Yeah, Call of Duty is their favorite franchise. They love playing online multiplayer. It's like, maybe they're a kid, like, maybe they're in college, like, maybe they just struggle with money, and it's like, mom or dad's only game that they can play, because everything's going to something else. Their kids and their family.
Family, bills, yada, yada, yada. Adulting.
And then it's like, they go on to the game that they've been looking forward to, this entire time.
And some 12-year-old with mommy's credit card that can afford it just fucking blows them out of the water.
Yeah, there's some, dude who just works full time. It has extra money, makes good money. It's it's like, yeah, fuck it, and spend all that money on it because it didn't matter. Money mattered less to that person.
Yeah.
So they got all these upgrades and stuff, and it's like, so the person who really wanted to play it and probably enjoys it more than anybody else
is getting fucked.
Yeah, and it's not fun for them anymore.
Well,
like
so,
you've ruined a game, or you've tarnished a game or gameplay for that individual.
Yeah.
You've taken something away from someone else. So that's kind of what it comes down to.
I know we're kind of getting tangential now. We're kind of going off the rails of Assassino, but do you feel like they should not necessarily put a rule or maybe some type of rule on microtransaction? I mean,
there's been talks actually of like regulation at some level that it's a form of gambling.
It honestly, if you think about it, is.
Yeah, and there's some countries that have
laws against it.
Yeah, and say, especially for children, if people who are minors or underage, that it is a form of gambling, because especially when you buy like
guns and
like packs and stuff, where it's like it could be anything. You're buying the epic chest that might have these items in it, but you might not get those items. There's a percentage chance kind of a thing, and you spend $10 and get that, but you don't get what you want.
So
some 12 you spend another $10 to try to get it. You spend another $10 to get it. I mean, you're pretty much playing slots at that point.
Yeah.
And so that is an important argument as well that people have discussed, and it's something other countries.
That's a subject for another matter.
Yeah. As far as how Ubisoft does it, I think they should definitely
take a look at it.
Yeah, and how they structure that.
Well, if you think about it, too, they listen to their peeps, their fans, about the Assassinos and developing the story, making it not necessarily RPG, but RPG, or making it bigger, making it less about modernism. Yeah, sure, you can go dink around a little tiny cave, but you're not really concerned about what the fuck's going on outside.
Yeah.
And you think that, I think down the road, they're going to eventually listen to the fact that people are going to say, hey, you're just fucking it up for everyone else. Oh, shit, okay, we need to back up. And
well, I don't think Assassin's Creed has a problem with microtransactions.
I was talking about the other games.
There are people who would say, like, John doesn't like that there's microtransactions in Assassin's Creed.
But then, yeah, you do get that flip of the coin. Because you feel like some people who are like, well, you need to
So it's like that did alienate him, because he used to be a huge fan.
Yeah, he did get that giant Assassino statue.
Yeah, and he bought the best collector's edition of each one as they came out every year. Like, that was his franchise. Those were the games he loved to play. That was something that he really, enjoyed.
So now with the big game development, what's your favorite game one out of Assassinos now?
So many good ones.
Dun dun dun. I'm making you think. You can have different aspects. So you can have different like genres of why this is your favorite one. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say of the older ones, Assassin's Creed.
You can even do it like that older to newer too, if you like.
Like, Assassin's Creed
Comparatively.
Brotherhood is still my favorite.
Well, is it why? Because you can build a Brotherhood?
No, because of Ezio and that story. I liked the villains in that one, the Borgia, who actually existed. I like that it was like set in Rome. I thought there was a lot of interest in side quests.
Yeah.
I like the idea of building the city. I like Sims and those kind of games. So that you could, have that Assassin's Creed Brotherhood that you were the head of and could control and upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And Ezio, I thought it was like in his heyday. Then you got like Ezio's origin story in 2, and that game's fantastic. And probably mechanically and size wise better than Brotherhood.
That's just my favorite.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious.
And then in Revelations, he's a lot older, so it's like you get to see, the September of his ears, kind of a thing, which is very cool as well. But him, especially now, probably, because I'm about the same age as he was in Brotherhood. Like, he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
That...
I think
that resonates with me a little bit more. Yeah. And for me, I think, like, the driving force behind it is definitely, like, Ezio. Like, the protagonist is what got me.
Yeah.
Like, because that trilogy is fantastic, and he's still my favorite assassin.
Well, I was about to say, is like, I feel like Ezio's got the one who's honestly got the biggest story. He's got the most games out of anybody. Everyone's always got a one shot, and Ezio's got, like, 3
He's got 3 games, yeah, and they were back to back to back. They weren't even,
like,
spaced out, and there was, like, fanfare later down the line. It was Assassin's Creed with Altair came out, and then it was
Ezio.
2 Brotherhood Revelations, and those are all Ezio. Like, and then they went to like Connor and Assassin's Creed 3.
But they don't have any other game that does that. Everyone's got one shot.
No, the only one that's close to it is Assassin's Creed 3 and 4 and Liberation are all very intimately, and Rogue, those 4, I guess, are all very intimately tied to one another. So like. But they are different characters. It's not focused on the same protagonist. But you have Edward Kenway in Assassin's Creed 4.
Yeah.
His son is Hatham, who you play as in the beginning of Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah.
And then you play the rest of that game as Hatham's son, so Edward's grandson, Connor.
That's a tie-in, yes, but it's 3 different characters. It's not just... And 3 different stories. Yeah, they're all tangled, web.
That's what I mean. It's not quite the same, because they are all different protagonists. It's just they followed a family line, which I thought was kind of interesting.
And that's one way
it was
to do
like
with
father to son,
yeah.
which I was kind of cool. Like, but yeah, otherwise, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, the...
Ezio's got Ezio 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, because it's like...
And it's just
Altair was only in, one game. He was in, like, a PSP Assassin's Creed as well, but nothing big.
We don't talk about those.
Yeah.
Because then we can get on the tangent of, like, how cool the little mini side-scroller games were and how they could develop on going to India and such on and so forth.
Yeah, there was, like, a Russian one, an Indian one,
I think a Chinese one.
There's those 3.
Yeah.
They were really cool.
Yeah, but those are little mini side-scroller games. But, I mean, they were cool. It makes sense, too.
Assassin's Creed Liberation was a Vita game.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they did an HD port to the PS3, and then they did another release of it on the PS4 just recently with the Odyssey bundle. I like that they're actually coming over to the Switch. It makes them very fresh in my mind.
Yeah, then you can replay them again.
Because they, like, Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered is on the Switch now.
No, one more time.
And then they're doing...
How many times have you played Ezio?
A ton of times.
That's what I mean. It's like... Well, that's a kind of nice thing, though, too, with Assassin's, if they make them well enough, you're playing all the freaking remasters over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And if, like, people bitch about it, then all they gotta really do is just release a remaster. Here you guys go.
Well, yeah, and they've been really smart about that because, like, with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they have, like, I think 3... They have 3 huge expansions split up into parts.
Yeah.
That were released with the Season Pass. And then they also released Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered and Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation Remastered for free as part of the Season Pass.
Which is cool if you get a Season Pass.
And the Season Pass was like a regular price. It wasn't like you were spending $60 or something on the Season Pass. I want to say it was like at most $40, but I think it was like $25.
It was $25 because that's when you played Connor.
Yeah, and then you get 2 older Assassin's Creed
Yeah.
games completely remastered. And you can buy those a la carte if you want.
I like it too. The fact that if you start with Origins and Odyssey, and if you've never played any of the Assassins because you've heard such horror stories, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on those because they're
It makes sense though.
But then they like, hey, I'm gonna tantalize you. Play these games.
Yeah, for the older one, you get the season pass. You really like the Odyssey. Like, here's 3. Try it out.
Try it out.
That's
And
free.
then like, oh shit, I actually like these games. Let me pick up the other remastered ones, and it's kind of
smart.
a snowball effect to get you in the remastered ones or the other ones like Arno and the twins, Jacob and Evie. You know,
Was like an Assassin's Creed.
I don't remember the names of the people,
Syndicate?
but not the fucking name of the Assassin. You know, Syndicate and crap.
What's the other one? Arno? Was it Unity?
Unity. Haha. My brain. The hamster died. But no, it makes it cool though, because then it's like, oh shit, I actually really like these versions of Assassin's. You know, if you think about it, then let me play the other ones, and that's a really smart way to line, hook, and sink people in.
Oh yeah, that's why I think the
games.
Switch ports are very smart too.
Because then it's like people who like have wanted to play it, but are, let's say, Nintendo basically only with like the Wii and the Wii U, and have the Switch. Like, oh shit, I actually like this. Maybe I want to pick up a PlayStation and play the PlayStation. It's kind of
and it's portable on top.
yeah,
of it.
exactly.
So it's like I could play like Assassin's Creed 4 and Assassin's Creed Rogue are coming out of the pack for the Switch. It's like I can play Assassin's Creed 4 and all the great sailing mechanics and be in the Caribbean and be a pirate and go back to that game. Yeah, but I can do it anywhere. Like,
yeah, what's cool?
matter.
You can yeah, that's a console situation on Switch, but it's cool that they're doing that though.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's like really the only other handheld experience you had from Assassin's Creed was
the Vita or the PSP.
Yeah, it was like Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, I think is what it was called.
No, what?
That was like an Altair spin-off, and then Liberation was on the Vita.
Yeah.
And I didn't even play Liberation on the Vita the first time.
No, you played it
I
on
played
the
the
remastered,
PS3.
the PS version.
No.
Because they remastered it for the PS3.
Yeah, and I got my platinum that way.
They ported it that way. Because you can go back and forth, but they ported it that way. But
yeah, it is interesting. I mean, it's changed a lot over the years.
it's growing and better. I feel like I get why John's irks about it. Don't get me wrong, because it was.
Well, he flat out said too that he's like, I just didn't like it. I thought Syndicate
was amazing.
Yeah, it was a great improvement, and they were going to keep going on from there.
But they were listening to the fans when they changed it to Odyssey and Origins, which is cool to see.
I thought that was really cool. They finally were listening and changing.
Not telling you, there, young one. Don't think outside the box. I got this for you.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think that's just very insulting. Like, and no matter what kind of medium like you take, like it's like.
I'm right.
Well, no, it's like these are diehard fans who have played every single game. It's like they don't have bad ideas. Like, they can have bad ideas.
Well, yeah, but they're just saying this is what I'd like to see, and they actually did well from what they're wanting to see. And it's like,
still like I mean, it's their cash cow. It's their highest selling franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Odyssey and Origins have added to that. I mean, they have not.
No, yeah, they have added to it. They haven't. But I like the development and growth of it. I like to see it, and it's kind of cool to see the fact that, you know...
I saved it, because it's like we started this podcast discussing Prince of Persia and how that led to Assassin's Creed. Prince of Persia died.
To Arno.
Prince of Persia ran its course to what Assassin's Creed did to probably Unity or Syndicate.
I think it was dying.
And nobody paid attention.
It died at Unity, honestly, to be fair.
Yeah.
It died at Unity.
And Syndicate, it couldn't recover.
No matter how amazing Syndicate was, it died at Unity, and they had to change it.
Otherwise, it was going to be dead.
Or else it would have been done. And those were their cash cows. They were coming out every year, but they pushed it too hard with Unity.
And Prince of Persia did the same thing. As they started with this critically acclaimed Prince of Persia Sands of Time reboot from an old PC franchise. It did fantastic.
And they just went too far.
And then they did 2 rated M games afterwards that were a lot darker in tone and didn't resonate as well with fans.
Nope.
And then they did a soft reboot right away, which that was the unity of that franchise. And then they returned to how it was before.
Which is the Syndicate of that time, but it was too late and killed it.
Yeah, and it was a really good game and was more of what you would expect from Prince of Persia. They returned to the original trilogy, and then they added like
cool
elemental
mechanics to it and stuff.
that fit in and made the puzzles more like complicated and interesting. No one played it though.
But
people were already fatigued of Prince of Persia because they had switched gears and then gone back and then it had already started to wane. And so then it was dead and it was done and they haven't done anything with that franchise since.
And that's what they were doing with Assassino. And I'm glad they changed it to Odyssey and Origins. And
I am too.
Brought it back. And not doing it every year, honestly, in my opinion. I like that too.
Yeah, I was really surprised that like Origins came out and then next year Odyssey came out.
Yeah.
So that means that both those were probably in development
at the same time.
And then they gave Odyssey obviously close to an additional year to add on or improve Origins and how that was received and what people were talking about, or if somebody in that development team had a different idea, a way to expand ideas.
They're still releasing DLC on Origins.
I think it just finally wrapped up. They just did like a free weekend where you could play the Atlantis DLC for free.
Yeah.
Even if you hadn't gotten the season pass.
Which is kind of cool. I was like, hey, here's a tease, and then now, okay, whoa, haha, buy it.
But even though I've loved all the other games, I honestly think that Origins and Odyssey are fantastic. And I'm excited to see where the series is going.
I'm too. And Vikings, that's going to be... I want to see how they play that off as Assassino, a giant-ass Viking being dainty and parkouring. I just want to fucking see that.
Maybe it'll just be more action-oriented and they'll stray away from it.
Parkour. Come on.
I'm sure they will, yeah.
Dude,
I'm trying to think of maybe some of the bigger assassins, but there really hasn't been.
If a Spartan can
They have Alexios. Yeah, Alexios is pretty burly.
Can freaking parkour and be all sexy and like let me throw you into the hay.
I love too. That's very like Grecian. He sleeps with anybody.
What?
It's like an option. You can sleep with anybody,
that's
like pretty much.
Fun. But that's another story.
Like you can sleep with man, women, it doesn't matter as long as it comes up in the dialogue tree. Like you can just go for it. Like it does not matter.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, no, and that's
but yeah, Alexios is probably
he's a big fucking Spartan.
Yeah.
I want to see a giant ass Viking.
And he can parkour and do all that.
He needs to parkour I
don't think they would ever
strategically placed bales of hay, or I'm gonna be pissed.
Or leaves.
Leaves.
They'll probably be leaves since it'll be so far north.
Whatever. They'll still have strategically placed bales of sticks. I don't care. It'll be the
case.
case.
Diving into a bale of sticks.
Ouch. Anyways, I think that's about all for Assassino this round.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely a great series. Like if you haven't checked out the new ones, give it a go. They're worth it. Especially if you like action RPGs.
It on a sale or a scoop, just try it. Honestly,
yeah, Ubisoft runs sales all the time.
They did, but they honestly did right by Assassino going this way and changing it up.
Yeah, I think they did. I mean, Odyssey definitely up there for Game of the Year last year.
Oh yeah,
for me.
Definitely has been. Yeah. I think it's going to be Game of the Year. They better be at least nominated.
Yeah, well, that one came out last year. So
I don't know how that shit works either. It's like me and the Golden Globe.
Well, I'm sure we will have a conversation about Game of the Year.
Oh yeah.
Before the end of this year,
we're gonna have that conversation.
I would just wait until the big holiday releases come out, like Death Stranding.
Yeah, gotta wait till after December.
Let's see, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is coming out. We got Outer Lands. We get Doom was pushed back.
Ooh. So
Death Stranding for sure.
If it's in 2020, then it don't count. But
I'm trying to think of maybe some of the others.
It's coming out. It's got more.
Plus, we have some early
year editions too that released.
Yeah, like Resident Evil 2 Remake released in February or something like that. And now
they had a couple good games too that were tantalizing.
Days Gone released this year.
It's gonna.
I hope, but we'll see.
That's the thing of this is done and cats are leaving butt faces.
Pretty much.
Someone's attacking something and that I shouldn't. Yeah. Well, this has been another episode of Rage Quit, talking about Assassinos.
Episode 10.
We did 10. We're going to do 11. We don't know what the episode is because we have a few in mind.
Yep.
But yes, tune back in, as always. Follow the bear.
Follow the bear.
Sexy polar bear spam time. Copyrighted. Bye.
Hey there, guys. This is Anthony Schultz, one half of the duo for Rage Quit. I just wanted to spend a minute or two, at most, talking about Ariel and I's other endeavors or where you can follow her and I if you're a fan of this podcast. So, I'm most prolific on Twitter as far as social media is concerned. I share more kind of gut reaction or private experiences and opinions there. I'm at Anthony R. Schultz. Pretty easy to remember, just my name. And if you'd be so inclined, you can give me a follow, and I also drop Rage Quit links there every week, and other things that Ariel and I are both working on. ASInquisitor also streams, which is the production company that produces Rage Quit, essentially myself at the moment. And I stream 5 days a week. I'm a variety streamer, so I do a little bit of everything. Hopefully, there's something there that you would really enjoy, even if it's just 1 day a week. I take every Thursday and Friday off, and you can follow and or subscribe at twitch.tv/ASInquisitor. All these links that I'm mentioning will be in the description box below, and I will reiterate. Also, ASInquisitor has a YouTube channel. So if you're not listening to this podcast via YouTube, if you're using your preferred podcast provider, this podcast does make its way to YouTube. We will eventually be recording not only our voices, but also ourselves when we do the podcast. We're just working on some equipment issues right now. But we also have past streams that I've done for ASInquisitor that have a little bit more kind of polish or pizzazz to them. They're divided up into like better bite-sized chunks for complete game playthroughs or let's plays. There's also a lot of unique content there. I record things throughout the week as I play games, just kind of funny moments or maybe even like personal achievements, things of that nature. And so you can search for ASInquisitor on YouTube. And again, the link will be in the description below. But those are my 3 kind of primary platforms that you can find me on. So that's Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Ariel actually has her own YouTube channel called Painting with LM Schultz. She's a very talented painter. She has her fine arts degree and enjoys painting for cathartic reasons, as well as to improve on her like technical prowess. So she started her own YouTube channel to improve on her techniques, as well as show people kind of some basics or things that you can do painting wise. There's also some other kind of crafty do-it-yourself kind of ideas and videos on there as well that pertain a little bit more personally to her and I, because they usually involve our family. You know, it's a family project that she's working on. For example, she did our son's Halloween costume, and so she walked through how she constructed and created, the costume and how you could do something similar for your kiddos at home. And then finally, you can follow Ariel on Twitter as well. She is primarily on Twitter, just like myself. We don't really indulge in too many other social media platforms, save for maybe Instagram. I don't think we're as active on there. Ariel might be, more so than myself. But you can follow her at Merhobbit and give her a follow as well. That's my lovely co-host and beautiful wife, Ariel. But anyways, I just wanted to stop in and kind of throw some links your way. And if you were curious about what ASInquisitor was doing and how Rage Quit kind of fit into that ecosystem, there it is. Yeah, got all the links for you. If you're interested in any one of those, all of those links are going to be in the description box below, and they're going to be in every podcast episode now. So I'm not sure if they're entirely there right now, but I'm going to be doing a fresh write-up and make sure and have all of those included for you. So just click a link or copy and paste and head on over if any of those strike your fancy. But anyways, thanks for enjoying the show. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next week for more rage quittiness. And as always, follow the bear. And have a good evening, guys.